Hi everyone and welcome to a new episode from ICO.ly. Today I'm sitting here with Alexander Linz, partner at LMG Lighthouse Trust. Alex.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. For a start, can you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Alexander Linz, as you said. I'm a trust lawyer in Liechtenstein. I'm Austrian civilian, living in Liechtenstein for almost 20 years now, working in Liechtenstein for 20 years. And being a trust lawyer in Liechtenstein is very interesting, sometimes very funny issue, and sometimes also tiring, as every job gets sometimes.
Yeah. And Lighthouse Trust is your company. What are you specialized on?
LMG Lighthouse Trust is the company which I founded in the year of 2009 together with my two partners, and we are I would say a boutique trustee company. And well, our specifications are we are doing structuring through Liechtenstein entities. We do succession planning, asset protection tools. Those are in general the things that we do for our clients, consulting our clients in that field, and also setting up structures in the various operative and passive income generating structures.
You also work with blockchain companies. How many blockchain companies have you had already?
We have set up 3 structures. We have found out that it is an intense issue to do so, doing all the various licenses that we have to apply for. The setup of the structure itself is, I would say, even the most easiest part of doing these companies. So I would say the licensing issue is the most intense things while doing and setting up structures in the crypto, respectively blockchain area.
What is so complicating in doing the license? What is the big problem there?
Well, first of all, we have seen that apart from cryptocurrency structures working with blockchain structures, there are various areas of blockchain fields, and therefore first we have to understand what is the blockchain context that we work in, to understand it, to have networking partners who do the licensing. So, for instance, if we work with a blockchain company that sells tokens, we have to apply normally for a license at the Financial Monetary Authority in Liechtenstein. This involves normally 2 other networking partners. So it is something that you have to have a setup of networking partners to work together in order to be able to set those structures up in a let's say in a manner that isn't too much time consuming. But
so far the projects that have come to you, are they from Europe or are they from further away?
They are from Europe as well as also eastern parts. So we have also one Russian client and a Polish guy. Then we have German customers to set up structures. So I would say further and closer relationships. So it's independent from geographic distances.
When they want to come to you, how do you decide which company you want to accompany? Do you have a checklist for that?
Well, in our field where we work in, it's not easy to have checklists because it is so widespread. So the most important thing is to understand the project from an economic point of view. And then to understand how it works. Also, who are the contributors, respectively, who are the investors, and what is the object of the whole issue. And from there, we have various routes to go, also when it comes to compliance. So this is something which is very individual on a case basis. So no, there is no checklist apart from the checklist that is in my brains that goes from one step to another. But you cannot write down a checklist for every project itself. So, and sometimes the due diligence process is not something that happens within a couple of hours to be accomplished. Because various questions arise even further on within the development of the project, and then normally having involved also a financial intermediary like a bank or an asset manager, further questions arise. So the due diligence process is as it says, a process that takes, I would say, in many cases, a couple of weeks, sometimes even months.
And the KYC you also do yourself?
KYC is, as trust lawyer in Liechtenstein, we are obliged by law to do so. So we have to have a clear understanding of the object of the company, therefore also to understand in a plausible way who are the investors, who brings in funds, and who is the settlor, who are the settlors. So these are the questions, yes, that we have to not only to ask ourselves and to document, but also to in some cases, if, for instance, a financial institution like a bank is involved, that we have to hand along these information for their KYC purposes. So this is part of our job as trust lawyers in Liechtenstein, that we have to gather these information and, if necessary, to hand it along to financial networking partners that we have within this project.
So the company is now at your, the blockchain company is now accepted by your company. What are the next steps? Do they have to have some documents ready already if they come to you? Oh, lass mir die Frage mal schnell stellen. Okay. So as soon as you have accepted a blockchain company, what kind of documents do you need from them?
Well, this is the answer to this question is close to the answer which I just answered minutes ago with respect to the KYC, respectively the due diligence project. It depends.
Okay.
It depends on what is the project. Who are the investors? Are these individuals? Are these corporations? Are these trusts, etc.? Who are the beneficial owners behind those investors? And also, what is the purpose of and the object of this project? And who finally should benefit from it? So these are the general questions that we have to check and analyze, normally together with our clients, and then find out. But of course, you're quite right. When especially if we have a tight time schedule, that we ask our clients to come up with certain documents that they normally have, like a business plan, information about themselves, CVs, plausible documents about the origin of those assets. So if we have these up front, we can do our checks, our standardized checks by using the various systems that we have available. So those things help, but normally it's not. That's not it yet. It takes to have also meetings to find out what it's all about.
Okay. If a company comes to you, what do you do for them? So what tasks do you have with a blockchain company?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. Warte mal, wir lassen es umformulieren. You accompany the blockchain company from the start to the end? Or do you just stop at some point? Or do you wait until the blockchain company has established itself in Liechtenstein?
Well, if we were the ones to be approached to start the whole initiating process to set up the blockchain company, as you call it, then well, yes, we start from the very beginning by it's a consulting process at the beginning to tell clients what range of alternatives do we have, or do we have at all alternatives. Also by comparing maybe if Liechtenstein is the perfect solution for the client to do so. So from our point of view, the best solution for the client is our best solution. And that means we have to check from the perspective of the client what is the best solution for him. So that means if we come to the conclusion, yes, Liechtenstein, and I think Liechtenstein has of course many preconditions in its jurisdictions that help to structure in a proper and beneficial way for our clients, then we have to clarify various questions with respect to, well, there are many questions that we have to go through, and this is again something where you can do by a checklist. This comes from point to point, and like a ladder up to the roof of the company's house. We have to go step by step, and then sometimes we have to go even one step back to reach another level, a further level.
So can you repeat again, why do you think Liechtenstein has benefits for blockchain companies coming here to establish themselves?
First of all, I think Liechtenstein has done a lot in the last decade to develop in a direction that is common for and that is also beneficial for somebody who wants to be active globally. That means we comply not only with as being Liechtenstein as being member of the European Economic Area, that we have to comply with European law and guidelines. Since Liechtenstein has to apply those guidelines as well. But also internationally, when it comes to issues like avoidance of money laundering, etc., Liechtenstein has done, I would say, a tremendous job on now complying with all international preconditions.
Yeah, we're not on the grey list anymore.
Well, there are many grey lists, but if you talk about the grey list of Moneywall, that's one of the more important grey lists that we talk about. Yes, but just recently we are not on the grey list anymore, even from a standpoint of Russia anymore. since Liechtenstein is also exchanging under the regime of the common reporting standards with Russia first time next year. So this year already, 19 for the year of 18. So I think Liechtenstein has done a lot to comply internationally on the one hand, but talking about internal factors that are beneficial for clients is that Liechtenstein has a very liberal jurisdiction system. That means that we can choose between the various structures to set up for our clients, whatever is most beneficial for them. Liechtenstein has a very also international recognized tax system. It has very nice asset protection tools, which are very much acknowledged globally. And as a part from those jurisdictions that we were competing with in the past, and I stress in the past because nowadays it's very different. Like jurisdictions like Panama and those kind of jurisdictions that had a similar setup as we had. This is not a something we even compare anymore, because I think we have done a lot more than those kind of countries to adapt to the international rules and conditions.
Also with the planned blockchain law, right?
Right. The blockchain law, though not yet being in force and still under construction, but as we hear from lawmakers in Liechtenstein that we might expect this new trustful techniques law, as it is called in English, trustworthy law, blockchain law, within the third or the fourth quarter this year of 2019. And we have started a very long time ago. This project has been set up by the Liechtenstein government already, I think it was in the year of 2015. And I think it is a long time, even more for Liechtenstein, because one of the advantages of a small jurisdiction like Liechtenstein is that lawmakers are very fast compared to other bigger jurisdictions. But this is a big project, also, by the way, compared to other jurisdictions like Malta, Gibraltar, who offer blockchain laws. This Liechtenstein upcoming blockchain law is something which is very integrated into the existing law system, which is very important. By setting up institutions in the law that are implemented in the whole law system. And for instance, if you compare this with Malta, this is not integrated at all. It's a separate law which is not integrated in the rest of the Maltese jurisdiction. So it is a big job that lawmakers have to do in Liechtenstein, with the help of the various interested parties, like the trustee chamber, for instance, or the bankers association. For us, it's important that the outcome is going to be a good one, because that is something, not only because Liechtenstein is going to be the first mover in this direction with this integrated law, and that's why it takes some time, and we want to be a good example for our other jurisdictions to set up a blockchain law.
I'd also say good things take a while.
Correct. That's it.
So back to the companies you are advising. do you need them to establish themselves in Liechtenstein, or do they also come to you to be advised and they establish themselves in other countries as well?
Well, we, LMG, one of the internal politics that we follow is that we advise for Liechtenstein solutions in general. That means if we see that Liechtenstein is the right track to follow, then we're welcoming our clients that we go that route together. If we see together with networking partners from other jurisdictions that we have that another route is more beneficial in whatever way for the client, then we certainly give hints to get in contact with our networking partners or help the clients in whatever way we can to establish somewhere else outside of Liechtenstein.
Okay. How long does it take for you to advise a company? Does it also depend on how big the project is and what kind of a project it is?
Yes, again, sorry, but yes, this is the setup of such a structure in general, but especially when it comes to blockchain structures, is anything else than standardized. So you have to look at each project itself. That's why I'm welcoming our clients if they have such a project to bring to earth, to bring into life, that we have some documentation about what the intentions are, in order also to set up this checklist, this very individualized standard checklist, in order to make it as fast as possible. That's why maybe this is the right chance to inform you that it is also our intention that we provide our clients with a standardized procedure when it comes to a project, that for an interested investor, for a blockchain company in Liechtenstein, that we provide this investor with a whole package of what is necessary, what is the process to go through, what kind of networking partners do we need for that specific project, what are the approximate costs of such project, and the timing, the timeline of such of the setup of this blockchain company. So this is, as we also saw from our experience, that it is necessary to help clients, since it is so widespread, to clarify all the questions, that we need to have a project plan to go through with our clients, and to show them that it's not something that we can set up from one week to another, but in some cases it even takes months, sometimes even years.
Coming back to you now, are you also privately interested in blockchain?
Well, I have to tell you a story. When it comes to blockchain, I made the experience, I was approached by, I think it was an email telling me that there was this conference in Liechtenstein taking place, and I said, what's all that about? And I said, blockchain, it sounds so new to me, and then I was reminded 2 years back into the last century, where you most probably not have even yet been born yet. So that was the time of internet. And I said, okay, I made once the experience with the internet that at the beginning I also thought, do I have to make myself being part of this project, of this worldwide project? Is it going to be of my private, personal use, respectively my business use? And being a little hesitant at the beginning, I had to, back in the 90s of the last century, I had to realize that yes, it's gonna be something that I most probably have to deal even on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Not even imagining that as today using our phones with all these applications and our computers, that it's something that we have to use every day, and not even imagining how work can be accomplished without it. So being reminded with this experience, I said to myself, better this way, better this time you do it the other way. You're going to be involved from the very beginning, because after having had some chances to review what is blockchain about, what are the possibilities, what are the developments, and they are, as we can see, very fast, that I said to myself, well, this is something I have to get involved very fast and very intense, because this is going to be something like the internet that we in the future will have to deal on a daily basis. So better do it right now than being a follower of others who had found this route already for themselves to be going very soon.
And I think now it's normalizing the blockchain world. After all the bare winter, now I think it's back up.
Yes, as we understand from the cryptocurrencies, that we have a stabilization also in those cryptocurrencies projects. We can see that we have a lot of interest from investors. At the moment, I'm working on 3 projects. That I would say that at least 2 of them are very probable that they will be affected, and then that we will go and finish the project by setting up a structure for these 2 clients. The third one, I'm not so sure yet. Depends. As I said, we are in the middle of this setup proceedings that we need to clarify certain questions. But with 2 projects, I'm very convinced that this is going to be happening and being structured very soon.
Can you tell us maybe how you acquired your blockchain knowledge? Did you read books? Did you watch videos? Was it learning by doing?
Well, to be frank, this was... I started with internet searches. I went through all these various... as usual, I started with blockchain on WikiLeaks. Wikipedia, yeah. WikiLeaks, which is just something very actual since Mr. Assange was arrested yesterday from his place in London. Yeah. No, Wikipedia. I started with Wikipedia as usual with those things, and from there I handed myself over step by step into deeper into the internet, and then I learned that Liechtenstein is in the process of setting up this trustworthy technologies laws, and then I attended the various seminars on that, also with the outcomes of that law in Liechtenstein. What are the consequences of all that? And just for the upcoming vacation I'm planning, I bought a book about blockchain. So yes, this is something I thought I need to go very deep or deeper. But the point is, since I'm a lawyer, my technical abilities and my understanding of technical links is very, very poor, I would say. But at least I would say that is most important, as looking at it from a user's point of view. I think there's already a lot to find out in the blockchain, just to see what the basis, the system, how it works, and I think that is enough to know about it, because like the lawmakers in Liechtenstein, with the trustworthy technology laws, the approach is, since these technologies are developing so rapidly, also the law gives room for development, technical developments, and therefore I think it's the same with me. I need to be open for future developments, although I'm not going to be the driver for technical developments.
Okay, so one last question now. What would you say to companies interested in Liechtenstein?
Jetzt muss man die Frage nochmal sagen.
Okay. What would you like to say to companies that are interested in Liechtenstein?
Jetzt musst du leider nochmal dabei.
Was tätst du der Firmen raten, wenn sie jetzt da in Liechtenstein interessiert sind? Oder sollen wir es bei dem belassen, was wir jetzt haben?
Na, ich glaube, es wäre nicht schlecht, wenn wir ein Schlusssätzle bringen würden. Aber ich überlege gerade, ob die Fragestellung richtig ist, weil eigentlich sind es immer Investoren, die suchen. Also es sind weniger Blockchain-Companies, sondern Projektbetreiber. Eigentlich sind es Projektbetreiber, die sagen, was kann ich tun, vielleicht ist es for investors who want to run a blockchain project.
Okay. What would you say to them?
No.
Okay. So one last question for blockchain investors. What would you say them? What's that gesagt?
What would you advise them to do?
Okay. Blockchain investors advise to do.
No.
Okay. So one last question now. What would you say to blockchain advisors that are
Sorry, das war kompliziert.
Es ist schlimm. Das ist meistens Ansatz und dann... Sag mir bitte nochmal.
What would you advise to blockchain investors coming to you?
Okay, ganz easy eigentlich. Das probiere ich noch mal. One last question. What would you advise blockchain investors coming to you? Okay. One last question now. What would you advise blockchain investors coming to you?
Well, I think most important is that we need to understand what the blockchain project is about. So they need to have themselves a clear understanding, also for people like myself, not being a technical engineer, to understand the project, and to be open for a structure in Liechtenstein which is most probably going to be very beneficial for them.
Mm-hmm. All right, then thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you too.
And we see us at the next interview.